Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, kid just found an autographed baseball. Entitled random thinks I'm his secretary. Entitled son at hospital. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Kid just found an autographed baseball. I took my 12-year-old daughter to a minor league baseball game. Before the game, she met several players and got their autographs on a ball. They were signing for everyone, so numerous kids got the same thing. Later in the game, we got up to get food, and I told my daughter the ball would be safe tucked inside our stuff left under the seat. No one else was sitting near us, and I've left stuff like that before many times. A couple innings after we returned, my daughter noticed her ball was missing. I looked around and saw a kid 2 rows behind us holding 2 autographed balls. One of them had red signatures on it, and we were the only ones I saw with a red marker. I got up and made my way back to him and said, "Excuse me," and the dad immediately said, "Oh, he found this," and the kid handed it back to me. I hadn't even asked for the ball back, so they made it obvious they knew what they had done. Mind you, the kid already had his own signed ball. Nice job by the dad raising a thief. It was definitely the dad's idea. Scum raise scum. I'll bet dad told the kid to say, "I was just kidding" / "it was just a joke" when they got caught. Yeah, he found it, right. Digging through someone else's belongings, what a douche. An old roommate found some of my tip money under the couch. It was in my shoe. Idiot thought I wouldn't notice $40 missing. I made my boyfriend get it back from him. That guy was a liar and moocher. Why would you leave anything unattended in a public venue? That's just asking for trouble. Some areas of the world are safer than others. Similar to locking your house or your car. In many places, I don't bother locking my car even overnight. Other places, I do. Looks like OP just misjudged this venue's safety. Had this happened to my girlfriend and I at an Astros game last week. They were giving out replica World Series rings, and it was a weekday game, so most people got them. Put them underneath my seat towards the back so people walking past wouldn't damage them. After a few innings of people walking past, had an aisle seat, I feel my leg kick something rather large and look down to see a dirty nacho plate. I instantly start looking underneath my girlfriend's seat and ask if she's seen where the rings went. She says no, so I turn around, and before I can ask, the guy behind me reaches into his bag and hands my rings back. This MF had reached down behind my seat to grab out rings and replaced them with his empty nacho plate. This isn't some easy thing to do either, as you have to stretch for it. Plot twist. The dad made the kid go get it out of the bag because he wanted it. Funny story, happened in left field at PNC Park, just a typical weekday evening game. Light attendance, but we're sitting a section with a high probability of foul balls. So foul ball comes into our section, kids scrambling for it, the usual chaos. Grown 50-plus-year-old guy goes dashing for it, brushing past the kids. So the idiot dives for the ball, he gets a hold of it behind a seat. In the seat is a 15 to 18-year-old girl sitting next to her father. He had buried his face into her lap to get the ball behind the seat. Father stands up, obviously upset, guy slinks back to his seat next to, I assume, his wife. She's visibly livid. That father showed a whole lot of restraint, the guy and his wife left soon after. Not sure what happened to the ball. Funny memory though. Entitled random thinks I'm his secretary. So this one was a few years back. Some people I knew of from back home were using my phone number for various things at quick loan places. I changed my number and sorted it out. 2 years after getting my new number, I am still getting random calls and messages for the guy who previously had that number. Shitty job offers, hookup offers, random requests for favors, which was annoying, but I just kept saying wrong number and carrying on with my day. One day I'm chilling with a friend of mine and I get a phone call from a number I don't know. Answer it, and it turns out to be the guy that previously had the number, and he has the nerve to start trying to quiz me about who phoned for him and when, like I was writing it all down. He actually got mad at me for not somehow informing him about the job offers. Told him I was not his secretary and to get off and tell these people he changed numbers before hanging up on him. Promptly changed my number again afterwards, and wow, was it nice not answering at least one message a week. LOL. Reminds me of the time an insurance guy had the wrong number printed on his business cards. The wrong number was my father's number. My father was nice at first and even notified the guy of the mistake. Months pass and the guy never fixed the issue. My father started telling everyone, "Who you looking for? Oh, he died." Guy actually got upset, but shortly after the issue got fixed, faced with tears of joy. It blows my mind how easily people dump the accountability for their own shit. If that were to happen again, just start making shit up. You're looking for Bob? He's down at the clinic again. This syphilis strain appears to be resistant to treatment. The strangest one was a woman that messaged looking for him, was told he hadn't had the number in about a year and a half, gets mad cause she was looking to smash, starts telling me where to meet her then cause she needs to get laid. She was blocked quite quickly. He's in jail, didn't you hear? 16 TETR of camp. I guess you really never know a guy, huh? Some woman used my phone number on a loan application. She defaulted, the loan went into collections and the collection agency called me dozens of times, asking for her. Every time I explained that I had never heard of her. I have a very deep voice. I am obviously not a woman. I still get calls and texts for the person who had my number before me. I've had this number for 17 years now, and I think she gives it to people she doesn't actually want to give her real number to. But a few times in the last 5 years I've gotten texts and calls from parole officers, payday loans, job offers, and stuff for some guy who's putting this number down somewhere states away from me. Having to reach back out to the PO to tell them they don't have an accurate number for the parolee was a fun one. They're used to getting lied to, but I think they thought I was the one lying. Entitled Son at Hospital. In a previous life I was a nurse, and one story always sticks in my mind. I was on a discharge ward juggling lots of patients trying to get home, some by ambulance, but the majority had to rely on relatives to come and collect them. Most relatives were fine with this, but the occasional ones made it very clear that collecting their relative was an inconvenience. We had an elderly lady come down to the unit to wait one day. She was a sweetheart and we got on like a house on fire. I kept an eye on her throughout the day and ensured she had food and drinks. She kept apologizing for being an inconvenience to us. She told us that her son was very busy and important, and reading between the lines, it turned out that he rarely spent any time with her. "He's so busy all the time," she said, "I don't like to be a nuisance." She had been previously widowed and no other children or other relatives she could call on. It sounded like she led a lonely life, trying to be as independent as possible. This was her first time staying in hospital. As the day wore on, I could hear the increasingly desperate phone calls she was making to him trying to get collected. It wasn't hard to overhear him shouting down the phone at her that he was busy. Eventually, just before we were due to close, she called me over with an embarrassed face. "He's here," she said. "Oh good," I said. "Is he on his way in?" Her face reddened and she said, "He's waiting in the car and told me to get to him, but I don't think I can walk that far." She looked exhausted and like she wanted to cry. "Give me a sec and I'll take you to him," I said. I grabbed a wheelchair and while she nipped to the loo, I tucked a packet of sandwiches and crisps in her bag as I didn't trust he was going to look after her at home either. We got down to the entrance and she pointed out a supercar, can't remember the type. I saw the boot open but no one emerged from the car. I pushed her to the door and heard a gruff "Get in" from the guy in the driver's seat. I helped the lady into the car, carrying on a cheery conversation to help cover her embarrassment but also to make a point to the son. He didn't say a word or move a muscle as I wrestled with the wheelchair and his mother and deposited her things in the boot. I said goodbye to the lady and he closed the boot with a button, revved the engine in apparent impatience, and roared out of the car park. It's not a very interesting story and there was no comeuppance for the son, but even 20 years later I often think about that lady and wonder how she got on. I know that we don't always know what's going on in anyone's lives, but he seemed so hard on her. Poor lady, clearly the son doesn't care about the mother in the slightest. I hope she's alright and got some more willing help. I hope she left everything to charity. Totally shitty, but you don't know the relationship people have with their kids. Granted, people can change, but some kids are still affected by trauma all the same. She may be a nice elder now, but could possibly have not been when raising him. I have a relative like this. She mellowed out after retirement, but that doesn't erase the kind of mother she was. I'm sure the people who have only known the current version of her think badly of her adult kids. They refused to let her live with them, and offered to help her find a good retirement home when she can no longer do the upkeep on her current place. IDK. I gotta wonder what kind of mother was she to him for him to treat her this way. This just screams returning negligence and indifference. Probably how she treated him growing up, as if he were a bother and a nuisance she could barely tolerate. Horrible parents can seem so nice, so different to others when they get old and needy. But their child remembers. I know that kind of person. He'll cry when she's gone and wonder why she left so soon, saying he misses her, then he'll get the inheritance, forget all about her. In a few years he'll be old and his children won't visit him, he'll get mad and wonder why they don't have time for them. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.